Well, hello and welcome to the weekly Mix and Mash, brought to you by the Midweek Mash Tattie. I'm your host, Harvey Savage Fire Smith. With me today, as usual, is Michael Alpha Hunter Allen and Paul Moonfang Kier. How are you today, boys?
Very well.
I'm well.
Alpha Hunter, present correct.
Aye, Roger, breaker. I'm curious as to where the names came from.
It's a wolf name.
Oh, right, wolf name.
All right. Oh, well, so I'm the Alpha.
Funny you
Here,
mention that. My lassie and the missus was watching Twilight at the weekend when you're talking about wolves.
Oh.
Birthday cared pish.
Do you want
The only problem I have with Twilight is that the vampires are sparkly bastards.
I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that bit either. Sparkly vampires. Nope. Not for me.
I think everything else is fine. It's just I'm like, really? Like,
Slimming Rick wakes up in the Nazi world again. He goes, nope, and just shoots him so in the head. That's the thought, isn't it? Nope, bang.
I've got a wee tidbit on wolves, if you're interested, courtesy of QI, the programme, the quiz show.
Oh, we got QI, right?
The notion that wolf packs have alpha males is actually false. It's they're actually just families, and typically it's the parents that run the pack. They're in charge.
So both matriarchal
and
patriarchal.
The guy that first discovered through an experiment with what's the phrase? Wolves that were in
captivity.
Captivity, that's the one.
Right.
They studied wolves in captivity. And that's how they came up with this idea of the alphas and the betas.
There was an alpha dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They then realised that the study was flawed because the wolves act very differently when they're in captivity and they're not actually out hunting. And so then that guy spent apparently the rest of his career trying to convince everybody that he was wrong.
All right, so he was a victim of his own success anyway.
Aye.
There you go.
So when wolves go out and they're travelling, they'll have the strongest at the front and the back, and they'll have the weakest in the middle, so they can see. Actually, they'll have the strongest, like the actual strongest one, at the very, very back.
Aye, the leader will go at the back and keep an eye on everyone.
Aye.
Find all that fascinating with wee animals and that, where you think how do they even think of these things? Like it's like meerkats, the way meerkats behave, where they work in sentry. Like, I mean, I was at the farm park at the weekend, and you've got the wee meerkats rotating who's watching the families. Like, they work on like a rota effectively. Like, have they got a wee miniature meerkat bit of paper saying Jim 1:43 o'clock, bottom of the hill. Then 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, top of the hill, like. There's like a wee meerkat staff room where they're off, and they're wee meerkat fags and they're wee meerkat coffees. Fuck, I'm in tap first today, lads. Fucking. There you go.
Staff meeting.
Staff meeting.
With glasses and that with the paper. All right, today we're going to
the Daily Meerkat. Sorry, lads.
Jim and John, you're on the south side.
South side.
You're over there.
No, pish, just get it.
Anyway,
you've got Sergey and Alexander that rose above it all and
I
started
don't
a car insurance
understand
company.
this. They not compare. They not compare anything in here.
Well, that's been the midweek, the weekly mix and mash.
And the music, we're going to hear you.
quite high. Quite well when I heed. Oh, God. Oh, God. Just before we get started, there's just a quick wee reminder that you can find us on all social media. We have a YouTube channel and our webpage, the midweekmashtattie.com. On that page there, we have our Buy Me a Coffee page, we have blogs, and a wee bit about us. We also have contact, where if you hear something on today's episode or any episode and you want to share something with us, you can leave us a wee recording, and you can actually be featured on any one of our podcasts. So without further ado, let's mix it up. All right, today we're going to start off with the football. Have any of you seen this thing with Kenny Shields, by the way, during the week?
Oh, yes, I have
is.
indeed. So he is the manager of the Northern Irish women's team.
Aye,
right.
so
Steal Harvey's thunder there.
So no, it's all good. He's the manager of Northern Ireland women team. He's previous manager of Morton,
Kilmarnock.
and Kilmarnock. So anyway, God, I don't even know. It's just laughable. Like now, Michael, bearing in mind he is the head coach of the Northern Ireland women's team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in his post-match interview, he had this comment. He said, "I felt England were struggling a wee bit at times to open us up until the psychology of going 2-0 down, until the psychology of going 2-0 up in the women's game." So he's saying England was struggling until they went 2-0 up, and then it was just so. Carry on from that, he said, "I'm sure you will have noticed if you go through the patterns, when a team concedes a goal, they concede a second one in a very, very short space of time. It happens right through the whole spectrum of the women's game because girls and women are more emotional than men. So they take a goal going in not very well."
No shit.
Exactly.
Is he still in the job? Has he been sacked yet?
No.
Bloody balloon. What's he doing?
Not to my knowledge.
He hasn't actually been sacked, and in fact, his team have kind of come out in support of him. Funnily enough, so they have. There's a bit of context to add to, I think, in there, Harvey.
What's the context? He thinks that women shouldn't play professional football because they're too fucking emotional.
No, he's not saying that. He's just saying that once they go to 1-0 down, or they don't take a goal getting in very well, so they'll easily concede another. So, I mean,
where's the peer-reviewed study that he's referencing?
There isn't one.
Don't know.
Which is why he very quickly, in the same interview, said, "I apologise for that. That is right." Like he immediately backtracked from what he said. And quite rightly so.
He did. And then he did apologize. He apologised after as well, like straight away. And then a couple of days later, he issued another apology and so on and so forth. But I'm just like, I mean, it's funny that they've come out and support him, the team, because can you imagine hearing that? Like,
it's like, a really silly.
What?
He's wandered into Went of the Week territory.
This kind of ties in with Combat Spuds 28, the one that we recorded last week. Michael, if you could just remind me of the name, because that's your podcast.
So Combat Spuds 28 came out on April 12th, a couple of weeks ago. It was Combat Spuds 28. Triple G is Gangster Times 3. Triple G versus Canelo 3 next. Question mark.
When we were talking about Dana White, his comments, how it can affect a fighter.
Right, aye.
Right?
That's right,
so that's kind of the same way, like, so you've just won the fight, and then pretty much your boss is saying, well, that should have been the other way. It's pish. Like, they made a fucking arse of it. You must be sitting there thinking, well, what the fuck? You can imagine being the lasses that hearing that, they'd be like, what the hell? So what too emotional? What are you talking about? Like, no.
I think to put it in context, he'd say that it was a problem specific to his team, that when they were conceding goals, they were then conceding goals in succession due to their heads getting down. So he was tying it into his own team's emotions getting the better of him in that situation. It still isn't a correct statement the way he said it. It isn't.
I mean,
the way he's verbalised that in the press conference is wrong.
He ties it into his own team, but he then says right through the whole spectrum of the women's game. He's made an arse of it. That I do not disagree with. Aye,
he
it
might
was
as
just-
well have turned around and said, "Do you know what? I don't think women should play football. They should just be in the bloody kitchen making the dinner." Wait, do you know what? That's no fair. I shouldn't say that. I suppose they couldn't play football. You know what I mean?
Oh,
What's he
God.
thinking?
It is a silly statement. But I would also say that he's an emotional guy. He's watched
The irony in the fucking
Yes.
statement, I suppose, is that.
he's made an emotional response, and it's immediately following the first ever sellout crowd for a women's game in Northern Ireland.
in Northern Ireland, aye.
So it's under his charge, that Northern Irish women's team.
5-0.
But even with that 5-0 defeat, they've went from being part time. They're now at the Euros next year, and that is unheard of for them.
He's playing against the women on his team are playing against England, right? Whose women they all play professional.
Oh, aye, and have done
been
for
doing
years.
for a number of years. Their coaches are up full time, you know, so they're a bit ahead of the curve than them. So I don't think there's any real shame in them losing 5-0 to England.
No.
See when Scotland got beat 7-0 for Spain? They're so far ahead of the curve than us that you can't feel a way about it. Do you know?
It's,
if we were close, then you'd say, Jesus, what a defeat. You know what I mean? Like, what a way to lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but because the gap is so big, like, you can't be too disappointed. Obviously, you'd be disappointed, but not too disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
Aye. It's unfortunate because it should be a celebratory week for Northern Irish women's football.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
They've made steps forward for sure.
Mm-hmm. Aye, they have. Just when you say there about Euros, have you seen what Kenny Dalglish said about Ukraine?
Oh dear, what did he say?
The World Cup. Kenny Dalglish thinks it's a good idea that Ukraine shouldn't play against Scotland. Scotland should just go and play Wales to decide who goes to the World Cup. And when the next World Cup comes round, they get an automatic buy into the World Cup for UEFA.
No.
Right.
And first thing that comes to my head as well, no, because obviously, everything that's going on there is terrible. But what happens in past years when you have war-torn countries get invaded?
Where's the invite for Iraq and Afghanistan and
exactly
every other
Yemen
nation that's been war-torn?
Why is that a bigger deal for a European country,
Libya,
etc.? Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, Kenny, do it better.
I mean, it's well-made sentiment, but it's incorrect.
I think with him, I think his first thing is he just wants Scotland to get to the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? So it's easier for Scotland to go and play Wales. So then he's just thought, oh, well, this is a good way, like, you know. Oh, Kenny, come on, son, do better. Oh, God. Got to just move on to... oh, no, I'm not going to move on to Scottish football. That's a lie. There's one more thing without Scottish football that I want to talk about, and that is bloody Burnley sacking Sean Dyche. What a joke.
I totally agree, Harvey. Yep.
That man has kept them in the English Premier League for how many years? Is that 8 now?
I think it's 7 years.
7?
7 years, but 8 out of the last 9 they've been in the Premier League.
Right.
So the
and this man has had a shoestring budget to work on. He's never been given a whack of money to buy any players, to entice better players into his squad by giving them, you know, he's had a shoestring budget from the very day he stepped into that door till now. And now they're because obviously they're involved in this relegation battle with, I don't even know how many games they have to play. I think maybe they have 8, Burnley.
I think you could be right there, mate.
8 games to play, and they've sacked him. An absolute shower of shit. That's what they are. Sorry for my language, but, you know, if you had maybe gave this man some money to invest in the squad, you probably wouldn't be in this situation right now. If over the years, because remember they'd be selling players, like
always.
I mean, getting 10 million like here and there. Give the man some money. Let him buy one or two players. Let him buy one or two good players. See what he can do. Then I'm pretty sure that Burnley wouldn't be in this situation. They'd be mid-table, high mid-table at that. They would actually. I think Sean Dyche is a very good manager. I think if he had a proper budget at Burnley, they could probably be looking at getting into the Europa League.
Oh, they'd be knocking on the door. Europa League before. God.
Well, that's right. He has. And where did all that money go? It's a travesty. Honestly, they're such a good guy as well. I've seen him anyway.
Always comes across as an absolute gent, so he does in press conferences, post-match, pre-match. It baffles logic. You're in April, you've got a month of the season to go. It is business time. They've got an Everton team above them, 4 points ahead before today, that are playing god awfully and are tombstoning. Like, why not allow him the chance to catch and beat it? If they're relegated at the end of the season, then fair enough, it's harsh, but you can see why they're doing it. But sacking him now, what is the point?
What is the point in sacking him now? There's no point. Where's the logic in that? There's no logic.
It's a panic move and it's a stupid move.
Who's going to take that?
Nobody, mate, is the answer. Nobody will pull them out. They'll get relegated now.
Do you know who it's got to be? It's got to be it's the relegation, but
Big Sam Allardyce. Big pint of Bisto, Sam.
You take the job.
There was actually somebody called into TalkSport and has said that he will rip up his season ticket if Big Sam Allardyce is appointed as a successor to Sean Dyche, because Big Sam comes with a guarantee that he'll be one of the highest paid managers in the league. So he'll be in a much higher monthly wage than Sean Dyche will ever have been on. And for what? To have a stab at keeping them in the Premier League with shit football.
I mean, who? But this is the thing: 8 games to go. Who can go in there and save them right now? Because somebody gets in and out. It's going to be a change of style. It's going to be a change. I mean, it can be done. It can be done, but to me, this is poor business. Honestly,
if whoever goes in there saves them, he'd be putting Houdini as their middle fucking name. That's the job they're facing. It's impossible. It's impossible.
If, as you say, right, if they had kept him in a job and then he get relegated, well, they have some reason to sack him then, because he got us relegated. Fair enough. Well, you should take some of the blame as well, because you gave him nothing to work with.
Nothing.
I mean, they sent one of the best, Chris Wood.
Aye, Newcastle. Their first choice striker. Yeah.
Aye. I bet you that wasn't Sean Dyche. His decision.
Absolutely not, mate.
Oh. Anyway.
It's a pure decision.
Aye. Moving on. This time I'm definitely moving on to the Scottish football. Sticking with managers. Jim Goodwin. Aberdeen say that Jim Goodwin is going to have a competitive budget to reshape the squad.
Right.
The squad that was already being reshaped this year.
I was just going to say, this is after the competitive budget that Scott Glass received to reshape the third best team in Scotland into the 10th best team in Scotland. Aye. It's one I've got to eat shit on as well, Harvey, because I backed them as third placed this season and they have been terrible.
Well, you're not the only one. I backed them enough. I'm being honest. I thought they would have finished third. Anyway.
It's been a disaster season for them.
Yeah, it's definitely been disaster for them. And it could be a potential disaster for Scotland as well. Speaking about disasters, not really a disaster, but Villarreal. You know, if Villarreal go all the way, that puts our automatic Champions League group stage
Under threat, aye.
under threat. Aye. If they go into the Champions League final.
So effectively, Michael,
Michael.
there is a certain amount of spaces for all the leagues. Like obviously the big leagues get more Champions League spaces. The smaller leagues get less. Scotland,
coefficient,
like their European performance in Scotland clubs has largely been in the back of Rangers, who have done very well, which has pushed our league coefficient up to, I think it's 10th, Harvey. In every position from 1 down to 50, whatever, there is a certain allocation of teams per competition. So 10th place allows you to get 2 Champions League spots, 1 in an automatic qualification for the group stage, 1 into the prelim qualifiers. However, Villarreal, who are 7th in La Liga currently, which is a non-European spot for them, if they win the Champions League, if a Champions League winner wins it, but they're not the champion within their own league, they then get a spot in next season's Champions League as the champions of the Champions League. Usually, obviously, that is won by a team who is winning a league or in the top 4 of a league. Like, obviously, Liverpool won it 1 year when they were second, so they were a top ballots a team. But it didn't matter because they were also qualifying on the league form. Villarreal would take up an extra spot because the top 4 of Spain already go in, but they are nowhere near the top 4.
Wow.
They're 7th, so that would be a 5th Spanish team at the expense of a lower seeded team out with. And unfortunately for us, that would be a Scottish team would then have to come out of that and go into the qualifiers again. They would be seeded in the qualifier, but it's not a given, as we've seen with Rangers at the start of this season. Before their great run, they were knocked out by Swedish champions Malmo, which... God damn. So it's a bad
if
thing.
Rangers then if Rangers get to the final, I think would probably be alright. But
they need to win to qualify themselves if they don't win the league.
I know that.
UEFA Cup winners, Europa League winners go into the Champions League as well automatically.
But I think if they win the next 2 and I get in, I think that pushes our coefficient up a bit more. So then I think we're all right. But
that's good then. That's good.
Could be a disaster for us. Celtic just need to get their finger at their behind. But you know the funny thing is what I want to say. So we're 9th in the coefficient standards right now.
It's 9th, right? Okay.
So see if Celtic and Rangers do well, and then Hearts, they're straight into the group stage. If they win a couple or whatever, who else is looking like it? Dundee United, do you know? Or if they all win and draw, our coefficient goes up. See if we move up to 6th, we then get 6 places in Europe.
Wow, that'd be the whole top half.
So
effectively,
that would be. This is how it sounds so stupid saying this. Half of our teams in the top league will be in European football.
I mean, that's pretty cool, I've got to say.
No, really. I mean, but no.
It is, but it speaks to the fact that it should be a bigger league.
Well, I mean, that's also true.
You imagine something a Broth nicking into 6th place.
Well, I mean, they're nearly nicking into the Premier League or Broth, part-time or Broth, which is a story on itself.
A Broth can win the league. They can still win the league.
Oh, I know, mate. They're a point behind Kilmarnock and play Kilmarnock next week. It's amazing. I love it.
If a Broth win all the games to the end, they've won the league.
2 more games, mate. 2 more games. Kilmarnock away, and then they're at home in the final game of the season. If they win both, they're up as champions in the championship.
It's crazy.
He was interviewed on Saturday and swore during his interview on the radio at 5 o'clock. It's brilliant.
I love it.
Dick Campbell, the manager, he's the man.
Dick Campbell's a funny man. So I mean, I don't know if Villarreal would win, but
I like Villarreal, but I hope they don't.
I like Villarreal and all.
I like Scottish
I
teams
don't want him to win now because I want the automatic group stage, especially Celtic win the league.
Agreed, mate.
Oh God. Here's something though. I've never heard of this. I don't know if you have, Paul, but Dundee United have taken goalkeeping coach Ryan Flood from Southampton. Well, their B team, but
Right.
they haven't signed him. But they've just. It's kind of like a loan until the rest of the to the end of the season.
All right, so like for a wee bit.
Have you ever heard?
I wonder if it's a partnership between the clubs then.
The coach is on loan.
That's the only way I can describe it. So he's actually Southampton goalkeeping coach, and he's going to be with Dundee United until the end of the season.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
It's maybe for a wee set of information, like kind of coaching information sharing. Like,
maybe. Well, that's what I'm saying. I've never heard of that before in football.
You find with
like as a coach,
kind of club affiliations, partnerships, and that. Like bigger clubs who send their coaches abroad to these weird teams like that. Like, the City Football Group, I imagine, work like that way. Man City, like. I've not heard it before like that, though, Harvey. No.
That's what I mean. I've never heard it like that for the first. I've heard them like doing like seminars and like going for a week and then showing them some new training techniques or whatever.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Because right now I think they're Dundee United's goalkeeping coach left in March.
So
right. They need a goalkeeping
fill
coach.
A hole for a wee while. Right. Okay.
But again, so I'm just saying I've never heard it. So
I definitely haven't heard it either, Harvey. No, that's very different.
Aye. We'll talk about the part I don't want to talk about.
Come on. just do it. It's okay, mate. Your team's still top of the league.
I know. So obviously today was the semi-cup final between Celtic and Rangers.
Semi-final even?
What did I say?
Semi-cup final.
Oh, did I? Semi-final of the cup.
Is that what you'll be talking about, man?
Aye. Semi-final of the cup. Rangers won.
They did.
Celtic took the lead in the second half. Rangers equalised the end into extra time. Rangers scored, obviously, the winner. But throughout the whole game, Rangers, I would say they were the better team, to be honest.
I think, despite the fact you're a Celtic man, you've got to give them in the balance of play. They were the better team, created more chances.
I'm a Celtic fan, but can't lie. I'm not one of them that's going to talk for shit. Like, it was this or that. Nah. They were the better team. They had a slew of chances that if they took them, we could easily have been 2-0 down in the first half. They didn't take them. We then in the second half started coming back into it a bit more. Scored to go 1-0 up. And then we had a slew of chances that we didn't take. We could have been 2-0 up. I think Paul, because we were on.
we were watching it together, mate. It was an exciting old fun.
And you were saying at that time, like if Celtic scored here, that's it. The game's done. And lo and behold, Celtic don't score. Rangers come back into it, score the goal into extra time, and they just kept the ball, pushing out to the wings, getting the ball on the bot. Like it was all Rangers.
They were the better team, mate. They were. I mean, for me, as a neutral, and many Rangers fans have tried to claim I'm no, but I am. I'm enjoying having competitive Old Firm games every season again. It makes it so much fun, and it brings eyes to the Scottish game in general, man. Today was another example of a great fun Old Firm game. There's drama, there's excitement, there's good football played by both sides. Rangers definitely for me the better team today, and they go into the final against a very good Hearts team, which will not be an easy game. Like so, it's all making up for a good kind of season, mate.
Yeah, I nearly said it was a great game with no crowd trouble, but I mean you can't really call it crowd trouble. If I'm being honest, when Rangers scored in the second half of extra time, I think it was Bassey
Bassey
It was
jumped over
Bassey.
the
Bassey
barriers,
jumped
aye.
over the barriers, ran to the fans, and that's the fans
That's like a
then.
wee mini stampede, didn't it, mate?
So that's a wee mini stampede, and a couple of the fans come out. Well, I'd say nearly 100 of the fans came over the, but to be fair to them, they didn't come on to invade the pitch or anything. They would just, to celebrate with their player. So
they didn't take over the celebration.
So
they policed themselves pretty well, at least for once.
Well, they kind of, because as soon as they started, there was a wee police and stewards just came and made a barrier.
Yeah,
and then they kind of just went, celebrated, and then jumped back in, which is fine.
Fair enough.
But the only reason why they came onto the park was because Calvin Bassey, not even the park, onto the track, because obviously it was at Hampden, the track, and so there wasn't really any crowd trouble, so that's good.
Aye.
I do have to say though, I don't think Bobby Madden had his best game today. A few questionable calls. Both on each side for each team. He made bad decisions for each team. But that's what it is. If VAR was involved, could have been a different game. Not going to go into that. It's just that I'm just bringing VAR up because of the referee. But it's another. This game would have been one of the ones where you want a neutral fan to watch. From a different country, watch that game and they'd be like, "Oh, this is an exciting derby."
Exactly.
No trouble. This is a good advertisement for Scottish football. This one was. But well done to Rangers. They're into the final. Again, they're into the semis. They put in a brilliant display against Braga.
Much respect to them, man. It's two 120-minute games. Well done to them, man.
Hopefully next year Celtic can do a bit better in Europe.
Hey, by the way, fun fact, do you know where the final is for the Europa League this year? You know where the final is being played at?
It's not Manchester, is it?
Seville.
Oh, it's
where Celtic went to the Europa Cup final against Porto. Wouldn't it be poetic if Rangers made it to Seville?
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. Do you know the conspiracy theories would be out and out.
Stranger things have happened, man.
Stranger things have happened. Looking at the teams that are left in there, Rangers could actually
RB Leipzig in the semis. They could play Frankfurt, or who was it that made it through with Frankfurt? Who is it again?
So, the other team is West Ham.
So it's West Ham or Frankfurt in the final if they get. So you're talking a potential Battle of Britain.
Battle of Britain. Aye.
With West Ham run by David Moyes, a Scotsman.
Aye. Who's
an ex-Celtic player.
I was going to say who's a Celtic fan.
He's an ex-Celtic player back in the day. Played with Celtic kind of briefly. So
Celtic player, Celtic fan. Oh. Aye. That would be fun.
Should be.
For Rangers fans anyway. We're going to quickly move on to Paul's Quack of the Week.
This week is quacking mental. It really is. This is one I discovered just literally in the embers of this podcast starting recording time today, lads. And that quack of the week this week is ITV. ITV today, during the coverage of Chelsea and Crystal Palace, managed to cut from the football in the 66th minute to go to The Lion King.
What?
Oh.
How's that even possible?
I was hoping it was going to be a porno or something.
A porno, steady.
Yeah,
Coronation Street After Hours.
Wow.
Brings a new meaning to the word.
Will they schedule to show The Lion King after the football?
I believe that's where the mistake is led. It's come on early by accident, basically.
How does that happen, man?
It's quite a wee mess up, I think, definitely. But I just thought some a wee bit light-hearted in a week of a very obvious of the week. I've went for a week and a cheeky one. But indeed, 66 minute. Football fans are watching the Fitbit and boom, it goes to the Lion King. Apparently it lasted only for 16 seconds and then it was then put back onto the football. So Hakuna Matata, lads. No worries.
Quite sure Disney will not be saying that. That 16 seconds will cost money.
Well, aye. That's funny. How does that happen? That's hilarious.
Quite incredible, isn't it?
Aye. I mean, the game wasn't even an extra time or anything.
I really hope.
See, if it was like extra time, maybe you could be like, oh, somebody's just forgot to change the time on the thing. Like, but
I'm hoping and praying that it was a couple up to no good having a wee nefarious relationship in the control room, and they've been bumping uglies on the control desk and hot a button.
Wee Sandra's getting railed and pressed the wrong button.
Wee Sandra.
Where did I have the wee
Sandra?
Oh, Jimmy! What?
I mean, I'm not joking.
On the Lion King.
It literally cuts from like a replay a goal to Simba and his dad walking over the Pride Lands to the everything the light touches you see is our Simba. It goes from replay to that. So it's and then it cuts back to the football. Everything the light touches, fit by again. Outstanding. So
good.
I don't know if it's many have been on in England after the football, but if it's no, you better believe Disney is charging them for those 16 seconds.
Oh man,
they are gonna pay.
Thank you very much for that, Paul.
Not a problem, mate.
ITV will have a word with Sandra and Jimmy.
We always promise fireworks on this podcast.
Let's move on to the old F1. Right. That was my anyway. Just quickly, a couple of days ago, I seen this. It was George Russell. And it was his team, or the principal saying to him, well, not the principal, his engineer, saying to him, because he was defending Perez at the time, he was saying, the tyre management is more important than the position right now. Mm-hmm. So we need the position. So basically what he was saying is they want the points. Instead of him like maybe dropping 5-6 positions, he said if you have to let Perez through to help your tyres, let him through. Right? And
I remember actually hearing that in the race, and then he says that's not what I want to hear right now. Is that right?
Yeah. That's not what I want to hear right now. And I don't remember hearing that. And it was just when I seen it, I was like, oof. Maybe I was looking away for a second or so. I tend to do that. I don't really get focused on one thing too often, for those that don't know me, you know. I'm easily distracted, let's say. But I was like, oof. Was seeing that, I was like, oh, he sounds like somebody who just wants to win. Like,
did you listen to it?
Aye,
she actually heard the way he said it. Aye, it's the tone in his voice.
I was like, woofed. So that has got me thinking. Remember, we were talking last week about we wanted to see what would have happened if Lewis Hamilton did catch up to George Russell. I mean, hearing that, I was like, oof, I don't think he'd be very happy with letting Lewis Hamilton through at all. I think he's
definitely got a winner's spirit to him.
He would want to be like, no, we've got to fight.
His choice of words and the way he said it sort of says to me that he's going to bite his tongue. He's obviously not going to bite his tongue. He's going to say what he's going to say, but he's going to toe the line for now. But if there came a situation where there was multiple races week on week where he's been told, let Hamilton pass, he's going to have a breaking point. Like, he's not going to be a Bottas who's just plugging away as a number 2 for years before he gets to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. I want to be the number 1. I can't pretend anymore. Russell's not doing that. He's got a season at most. I mean, it's kind of, as we've discussed, like,
you're lucky.
Like, it's at best case scenario, he sort of keeps himself in line for a season, and then Lewis retires, and then Russell's sort of set to be the man. But it's no the best like, you need to be competitive to be successful in Formula 1, absolutely. But there's a lot more politics in there than there maybe necessarily should be, and that kind of attitude doesn't play politics well.
Doesn't play politics at all. I mean, anyway, I'm not even going to get back into that debate. let's go. So then also seen this, and this was actually Sandy sent this as well.
Shout out to Sandy.
So I'm waiting to hear his comments on this. I did see this, and I seen Sandy put it in, and then Michael was like, "Oh, this is a good question." I was like, "Yes, I know, thank you." So the question is, if you could change one rule in F1, what rule would you change? I mean, I'm paraphrasing there. That's not the exact quote, but aye. If you could change one rule, what would it be?
For me?
And
oh, right, sorry.
Aye, sorry. Just before we get started, if anybody wants to ask me a question like that again, please don't. I can never give you I don't have one. I don't have just one. So if you want to ask me the question, you say, what rules would you like to change?
By the way, is this no something maybe to shout out to the Mashers to use that microphone on contact?
Use it. Aye.
Get him into us next week. Let us know what you think.
Aye, let us know what you think. We'd love it. If you don't want to have your voice on the podcast, that's fine. Shoot us a message on any one of the social medias of your preferred choice. We'll get back to you. We'll put it on there. If you don't want us to mention your name, that's fine. We won't. It's all good. But aye, we'd love to actually hear from you. So if you go on to midweekmashed.com and then go to the which page is it again? The
Contact us.
Which page is it on? Is it the Contact Us page? Yeah. Go to the Contact Us page. Down the bottom, there's a wee blue microphone.
Oh, no, that's on every page. Sorry, I didn't realise that's where you
it's on.
It's on the home page. It's everywhere.
It's on every page. It's everywhere. So on any page on the midweekmashed.com, you've got a blue microphone down the bottom. Click it, record your message, and it sends off to us, and you could appear on a future episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, the question is, if you could change one rule in F1, what rule would it be? Paul, you go first, because I suspect Michael has a longer.
Yeah, I do not know enough about F1 to even possibly contribute to this. Lads, the floor is open to you, who know more than myself. I'm just a ass man.
Okay, for me, certainly off the top of my head anyway, without really thinking about it for hours, the one thing that comes to mind is the tyres. I think that having pit stops keeps things interesting. I'm with that, right, and having the different strategies and stuff. But it does my tits in that it's stipulated that they need to use two different tyres. If the softs are the best tyre for the race, or the hards are the best tyre for the race, or whatever else, then just let them run them. I'm no interested in seeing what happens if you give them shite tyres. Don't care. I just want
second on my list.
The best tyres that Pirelli happened to have that weekend, own the cars and let them drive.
Let them drive. And then it's up to the team if they want to try and go the full race on a hard set, or if they want to do a 1-stop, 2-stop, 3-stop, whatever.
Aye.
You know, that's second on my list as well. Tyres need to change. Why? That's literally my notes that I wrote. Like, why? Like, what is the point? Where did it
pit stops if it gets you to the end quicker. If you know what I mean, if that's the strategy, the tyres degrade so much that you're actually quicker having a pit stop. Awesome. Let's do that. Why stipulate that you must use two different fucking types of tyres? You must use
two different. I don't like it either. I don't like it either, to be honest. I know this one kind of has people it divided. It's with fuel. The fuel. Remember, you used to be able to. I mean, that was part of your strategy as well for your pit stops with the fuel. I know it's safety and all that, but I think with that, I think it makes it more exciting again as well. Like, what do you do? I mean, not the car setting on fire or anything like that. You know what I mean?
It's not really safe when the car bursts into flames and the guy on the fuel line gets burned.
By fuck to the crowd cheer. Like NASCAR.
I mean, they could do it a similar way as in NASCAR, really have like a can and it just forces it just real quick. I would
be with you to a degree in the sense of I think pit stops are a bit boring and annoying the new with the way it is. With the
tyres,
I think it would help if you made it a wee bit more open in terms of what they can do with the tyres. And I think it would be interesting to bring back fuel or refueling. I mean, that made the whole thing of strategies really interesting because you're trying to see like how much fuel are they starting with. Are they going to be a wee bit heavier for the start, so they're maybe going to start slow and drop a place or two, but come the end, they don't need to refuel. They just need tyres. So,
they just fly.
So that's really interesting. But here's the problem that I see with it: we're firmly moving towards electrifying Formula One.
Oh, but why?
It's coming fast.
True.
We had a great piece for Sandy back in the day when we started the podcast about how that's not going to happen overnight because of the deals that are in place with Formula E and stuff. But it is inevitable that within the next 10 to 15 years, Formula One as we know it will not exist. It will be effective. I mean, I don't know if they'll change it to Formula E. They'll probably keep Formula One, but effectively Formula E will become Formula One, or Formula One will incorporate Formula E. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But basically, ICE engines are going to go away. There'll be no more combustible engines in Formula One. It will be battery power. It would be a wee bit sort of short-sighted and unnecessary to bring back refueling.
Well, that's true.
When that's the direction.
If you think about it, you think about it that way, true. Start battery changes, fuck it.
I would be up for that, man. Let's have like 30-second pit stops.
Battery.
See how quick, like mad crane thing lifts up car, battery drops out the bottom, new battery. Like that could be really cool to see.
That would be mental. Like, and we've got one of the pit crew crushed underneath the motor. Sorry.
Again, back to Harvey's excitement there. Okay, focal watch.
Right. Here's back on track. Here's one.
Actually, before we move on, right.
Okay, sorry.
On the change in the battery thing, right? There is companies in China, probably in other places in the world, but I know it's happening in China, where they're working on like purpose-built battery stations, where if you buy a car for a manufacturer, you don't buy the battery, you lease it or whatever it is. You own the car but not the battery, and then when your battery's done, you can recharge it, or you can go to one of these stations and they'll change your battery for you. I think they had it to a point where it was taking like an hour or 30 minutes or something like that. But obviously you're getting a fully charged battery in, so it's a bit quicker than charging, but it's no hangy, it's no great. But think about it, if that goes to Formula One, they come up with new technologies, it pushes on the car industry because you'll then have the technology a few years later can then sort of disseminate down, and then you've got petrol stations are turning into battery changing stations.
DIY, do it yourself.
Plugs everywhere.
Do not DIY electric cars.
Right, so just what I'm not going to go through it. The last one I'm going to say, because we're running out of time here, is this is one. It's kind of rule, a law, whatever you want to say. 22. Fuck it. There should be no. I think there should be no affiliations once you're one team, you cannot have an affiliation with another team. So you can't quote unquote have
A B team.
a junior team, a B
Aye.
team.
I'm for that. Aye.
I don't like it. I think every team should be individual teams. There should be no affiliations between them whatsoever. No team in F1 should be able to sell parts to another team, parts or technology. That should be all done by each individual team and overseen by the FIA to make sure it is safe and within the laws, within the guidelines, what they want. So again, if you, in fact, we would like to hear the rules that you would like to change. So shoot us a message on any one of the social media platforms, or leave us a message on our voice machine on the page. And we're going to move on to our last wee section today, which would be Mick's monologue.
Ooh. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought the time was right to bring back a bot-written script. Now, for what it's worth, I have not read this script, so it might be a bit crap, but I have high hopes because of the subject matter and because of the title of said script. So, fingers crossed.
Okie
Fingers crossed, it can at least come close to Batman. So, Twitter poster person, Keaton Patty, could be saying that right, has posted, I think there was a slew of these folk were doing it. I forced the bot to watch over 1,000 hours of the Transformers movies and then asked it to write a Transformers movie of its own.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
This is the first page. This is the first page from said script. The title is Transformers 6, Cars Become Other Cars. I read that and I thought, oh, I'm in. Here we go. Exterior. Junkyard. Night. Postie. A guy with hair locks the gate to the junkyard. Guy with hair. Good night, junk. I have to go to my daughter's birthday party. He lies. The guy doesn't have a daughter, and if he did, she wouldn't have a birthday. He falls off a cliff.
Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't have a birthday, I tell you that the truth.
The way it goes. Right.
We see a 1996 Toyota Camry parked next to a 2003 Hyundai Elantra. We think they're normal cars, but we're stupid. They're Transformers. 1996 Camry. The human has left. 2003 Elantra. Yes, we can now transform into our true identities. The 1996 Toyota Camry transforms into a 1998 Toyota Camry.
Slightly better car. Right.
1998 Camry. I have transformed. Your turn.
Right. Come on, you hard business.
The 2003 Elantra transforms into a DVD of Pixar's Cars 2.
Well, my hopes were high, but they were never that high.
DVD of Cars 2. I have transformed. 1998 Camry. Now we must wait for Optimus Prime. They wait 3 years. An Uber drives up to the junkyard's gate. 1998 Camry. Optimus Prime is here. Uber. It is I, Optimus Prime. I must transform.
Jesus. Oh no.
The Uber transforms into a Lyft. For those that don't know, Lyft is a competitor to Uber in America.
I was going to say.
left. Now let's Shia LaBeouf. The car's all Shia LaBeouf until we run out of gas. Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
I'm so happy that didn't disappoint.
Oh my god!
Oh man.
Let's Shia LaBeouf. Oh,
They
fantastic!
Shia LaBeouf until the gas ran out.
I'm 100%
Incredible.
going to go back to that well in the future.
Incredible.
Right.
He lies.
God.
Oh,
He
jeez.
didn't have a daughter, and if she did, she wouldn't have a birthday. He fell off a cliff.
The fell off a cliff was what got me. He's walked out of the bloody yard that he's in straight off a cliff. God, I love the bot scripts. They're the
While
best.
he's falling through the air, he's thinking to himself, I knew it was a bad idea putting the gate right in the face of the cliff. I should have put it on the other side of the land.
I've went out the wrong bloody exit, haven't I? Outstanding.
Well, lads, is it time for us to Shia LaBeouf out of here?
Aye, that's Shia LaBeouf.
I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you what though. I'm a bit done, lads. I'm really feeling a bit done. What else can I say? My papa's back on the drugs.
Okay.
He's addicted to Viagra, man. My grand's taking it awfully hard.
Michael. Oh,
Well, for the second week in a row.
Right, aye, for the
That's all, folks.
oh man. Oh god. Oh,
Yeah,
aye.
fine, is it?
Let's Shia LaBeouf out here, eh? Oh god. Ah, right. Well, thank you all very much for listening. If you could do one thing for us, we would greatly appreciate if you share us with a friend, family member, or just anybody that you know that enjoys podcasts, especially sports podcasts. Please and thank you. That's been Mick. That's been Paul. I've been Harvey. Tattie by driver.
Shia LaBeouf driver.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf. Tattie by driver.
Bye now.